When people are considering a move to Sacramento, they're often thinking about either going to the 50 freeway side or the 80 freeway side. As always, I'm John Jackson, your friend in real estate here in the Sacramento area. I can help you with anything real estate related, buying, selling, or investing. Let's take a look at the 80 side and the 50 side. So as you head out of Sacramento, let's start with the 80 side. The 80 freeway goes up northeast towards Reno, and you're gonna hit a bunch of cities and towns as you head towards Reno. Now Reno is gonna be about 2 hours outside of Sacramento, so we're not gonna quite get that far because after all, that's in Nevada. But you're gonna start with some towns like Antelope, and you're gonna have North Highlands in there, and then you're gonna eventually get to the area where a lot of people settle, which would be Roseville, Rocklin, and then there's Loomis, Granite Bay, Lincoln. It's going to be a lot of shopping. You're gonna have the town of Roseville, where a lot of people settle. You have the Galleria Mall, which is pretty much unbeatable for shopping there. You've got retailers there, you have good food in that area, great spot, good family spot, great schools in the Roseville area. As you go outside of Roseville just a little bit, you're gonna hit Rocklin. Beyond that is Lincoln, which is growing a lot because outside of Roseville up towards Lincoln, the prices are gonna be a little bit lower. Schools are still great, and there's some new build and that type of thing going on there. But as you're in Lincoln, you're a little bit further away from the action. That would be in Roseville, kind of the epicenter would be in Roseville for all the things you wanna do. Now, also, on the 80 side would be Granite Bay and Loomis. A lot of people like Granite Bay and Loomis because it's quiet. I would call it country chic in some ways, especially Loomis. There's a little bit more land, a little bit more property there. Some horse property and that type of thing, but just nice country, quiet areas. The same goes for places like Newcastle and Penryn. They're all in the same area. Now, the thing about Loomis and Granite Bay in particular, parts of those can be a little ways away from the freeway. So most of Roseville is pretty close to the freeway, but when you get to, say, Granite Bay, for example, you're 10 to 15 minutes from the freeway. So if you have to commute into Sac, that's gonna be a bit of an issue for you, but if you work at home, then it's not. One more thing about the 80 side is Auburn. So Auburn has a cute downtown. There's a great coffee shop there called The Poor Choice, and it's a great spot to walk around on the weekends. And it would be sort of comparative to Placerville over on the 50 side. So either way, on the 50 side or the 80 side, you're gonna have an older town, Auburn on the 80, Placerville on the 50, that if you like that old historic type of town, you're gonna have it on either side. So let's work our way over to the 50 side, the Highway 50 side of Folsom Lake. And so as we explain this, the Highway 50 side goes up east towards Lake Tahoe, and Highway 80 goes up towards Reno, as we said, and in the middle of those two freeways is Lake Folsom. Beautiful lake, great in the summertime, and even gorgeous in the wintertime. And it kind of splits those two highways. So up Highway 50, as you work your way up from Sacramento, you're gonna hit towns like Rancho Cordova, Fair Oaks, Carmichael, and then you're gonna find Folsom, and on up towards Placerville is where you're gonna end up. So one thing about the Highway 50 side that people like better is that it's a little more hilly. There's a little more topography to the side, and it's a little more nature feel to it. So when you hit Folsom, you do have a little bit more, actually I'd say a lot more shopping, a lot more going on. You have the Palladio Shopping Center. I wouldn't say it quite compares to the Galleria over in Roseville, but it's a great shopping spot. Modern, new, contemporary, great food, and a nice place to walk around and shop and spend a weekend. Folsom also has excellent schools. People come to Folsom for the schools, and families love to settle in Folsom. Then right beyond Folsom, one exit past there is Dorado Hills. It's half the size of Folsom and has not as much stuff going on as far as retailers and all that type of stuff, but it does have the town center, which is great. Has some good food, it has a Target and a movie theater, and it is, Dorado Hills is basically connected to Folsom. So it's the next town over. So if you live in El Dorado Hills, you would have about 50,000 people in that town as compared to Folsom, which would be over 100,000. But you're right next door. So if you live in El Dorado Hills, you're gonna have generally a quiet neighborhood, safe, and then you're gonna be able to take advantage of everything in Folsom that's right there. Costco, all the amenities that Folsom offers, and then just go back home to El Dorado Hills, both towns being safe and lovely. As you work your way up Highway 50, you're gonna then hit Cameron Park, which becomes a little more a slow environment, not country, I would say, but a little slower environment. Homes a little bit older, and then you run into Shingle Springs, which would be a little more of a country feel, a little more property. Maybe you would have an acre, 5 acres, 6 acres out there in some spots. And then you're gonna hit Placerville. Placerville has an old style town, lovely downtown, old hardware store, all the sort of old school feel to it. And great place to go get lunch, grab a coffee at a place called Pachamama Coffee down there. And it's just a neat spot, and people love stopping there on their way to Lake Tahoe. It's at some elevation there, and it's just a great spot to spend a weekend. And it's a great spot to live too. So there's some land out there. I've sold as much as 20 acres out in Placerville. Go another 15 minutes past Placerville and you got Apple Hill, which is where people come from all over the place to go to those farms. And it's a great time for kids, all kinds of apple farms and pumpkin farms and Christmas tree lots and all that stuff in the holidays. So regardless of 80 or 50, I think you can't miss. 80 has its pluses, 50 has its pluses. Interested to hear what you think if you've experienced the area at all. But families love to settle here. There's plenty of jobs, there's great schools, great education, and plenty of opportunity for kids. And there's plenty of different types of housing. Older homes, unique homes, historic type homes, and all the way up to brand new builds in areas like Folsom, Lincoln, and Roseville, and everywhere in between. So I'd love to be a resource to you. I'd love to help you find a place that you can find home. So call me or email me. My info is in the bio, and I'd love to chat with you and see what we can find for you in this area.